Hello,
And
hello, hello.
live.
We are live. We're out there. It's happening.
Everybody, welcome to the Artist Wealth Accelerator class. For folks with the Whale with Shanna Ray, I am your host, Shanna Ray. I'm going to say some nice things about my friend here, and then I'm going to get out of the way and let him do it.
Anybody in? Is anybody in the waiting room right now?
Not right now. Not right now. We're good. Well, Gigi's. We'll bring Gigi to the stage.
Gigi. Okay, there we go.
Gigi, welcome to the stage.
Okay, I wasn't sure what it looks like on your end. And we have
Gigi, a couple more that will be joining us shortly. So, but hello, Gigi, and welcome.
Thank you so much. You can leave me in the waiting room if you want. I can hear you, and you're bigger on the screen.
Okay, yeah, right. I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure
that makes more sense to you guys. And I'm going to mute myself too.
What's going on?
Feedback.
All right. We'll move you there then.
So I'm going to say hi to Instagram too. So welcome. If you're watching on IG, this is a sneak peek backstage. Well, it's not backstage because we're live now in Shanna Ray's Facebook groups and pretty much worldwide YouTube. Man, we are doing this thing. So this is going to be a class for artists. Although even if you're not a performing artist or visual artist, if you're an entrepreneur, you're still an artist. So you probably still want to be here. And we're going to be talking about money, wealth, finance, some ethical, legal, and moral ways that you can earn an extra $1,000 in the next 90 days. And also some big picture stuff about money, wealth, finance, this idea about the starving artist and why it's complete and total crap. We just don't need to be that. We can be abundant artists. We can be wealthy artists. It's okay to make money and be a great artist. So I'm excited to be here. So if you're watching on IG, we're going to go live for about 20 minutes here. And then we're going to tell you if you want to get the rest of the class, how you can do that. We're going to be continuing to go live on Zoom after this. And then you'll have an opportunity to purchase the replay as well. So Shanna, take it over. I'm a guest in your house.
All right. Well, I'm going to be very quick and just say thank you and welcome to Sean. Sean is actually on Team Whale with Shanna Ray, is in charge of he's in charge of marketing and has just been a very good friend and colleague. We actually met doing some acting classes together, and both actually found out that we are entrepreneurs, and that's the other thing that we do. And Sean has been, when I say integral to the part, did I say that word right? Yeah. To the growth of the studio, and has given me so many amazing ideas that I knew immediately I wanted to bring Sean in for this, because we both have the same philosophy that you do not have to stay stuck in any area of life. You do not have to stay stuck. There are things you can do. There are always things you can do. And it's also, yes, you're gonna have to work at it, but it's not impossible. And so when I bring people in, I look for people who say, this is possible. Here's how you can do it, and not 100 reasons why it's going to be real hard or how you can't do it. And so Sean is definitely it is possible, and here's how. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand that over, because I know that one of the things, and I'll talk to my IG folks here as well, one of the things that we worry the most about artists is like, how are we going to pay the bills? And because the artist life, anybody who does it, it's like you do a show and then there's a break, and then you do a show and then there's a break, and then you do a gig and then there's a break, and then you do. So when the life is like that, it becomes even more important to understand how the money part works. And so I definitely wanted to bring Sean on to help empower artists to get control, for us to get control of that part of our lives, so that we are empowered to do the things that we want to be able to do, and don't have to say no to something because the finances aren't there. So there you go. I'm going to put myself in the waiting room. Call me back to the stage anytime you need me, but so that they're seeing your face, I'm going to leave the stage here. And guys, if you have questions along the way, please put them in the comments. I'll be checking IG and here and answering you along the way. And yeah, take it away, Sean.
All right. Thanks, Stefani. We got the audio fixed. That was on my end. I'm trying to prevent loops from happening, so I turned my audio down, and then my brain was not thinking like, wait, that's the audio that IG is hearing. So it's fixed, I think. Thank you for that. This is the beauty of live stream, is your audience tells you like what's going on. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. So for a lot of you watching this, or most of you watching this, unless you're a follower of mine and you've read every word of my bio and you've watched every post, which is very unlikely, you're probably wondering who I am and why I'm qualified to even talk about this. First thing I'm just going to say is I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial guru. I do not sell financial advice. I do not sell financial products. In fact, I have nothing to sell you tonight. So I'm just going to put that out there. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an artist. I'm a performer, a businessman, and a lover of all things opportunity. And I love money. There, I said it. Why do I love it? Because it is a tool. It is a tool that can be used for incredible things. And so it's a topic that I love talking about. I think about it all the time, how I can create more, use it better, invest it better, put it to use in a good way. And I'm always thinking about goals that I have and targets that I have and how I can make those possible, like Shanna said. And I learned a long time ago that it's very hard to do a lot of things in this world without money. It just is. It's one of those things that gets a lot of opinions and strong feelings around it, which I understand because can cause a lot, or lack of it especially can cause a lot of problems. I'm sure you've seen statistics or heard statistics about what it does to marriages and the reasons that people divorce and all of these things. And we're also going to talk a lot about beliefs tonight. And so we've also heard a lot of things growing up, either from our parents, our friends, our siblings, about money and about what it is and what it isn't. And so I just love talking about that because I learned I was getting a lot of bad information, that the things I was learning about or that I assumed were true were not actually true. And that if I wanted to change my financial condition, I had to change how I was thinking and how actually I was believing, because how I'm thinking was impacting what I was doing. And so you need to do certain things. So we're going to talk about doing some things. So a little bit about myself. I started as a public school music teacher many years ago, did that for about 7 years. And then I started my own real estate business. I started that business because I wanted to earn some extra money on the side. I was not making a ton of money as a teacher. I was making an okay living. I had nice benefits and all that, but I had other goals that I wanted to do. And I knew that the only way I was going to hit those was if I could find a way to make some extra money. So I started selling real estate on the side. So I would do my teaching job, and then at night I would show some houses, list some property, and learned very quickly that I didn't know anything about sales, like nothing. But I was making money because the market at the time was such that it was so crazy and so hot that I was making money, but I didn't know what I was doing. It was just kind of an accident. So what ended up happening is not only was I not successful in the business, I ended up quitting the teaching job and going completely bankrupt. And that happened. It's a long story, but basically what happened is I was very unwise with my money. I went too aggressive on too many things and lost it all. And so I went from being in a pretty secure financial position to being multi seven figures in debt. And when I say multi seven figures, it was approaching $3 million if I add up the credit cards and the real estate debt, because we had made some investments. I got involved in real estate, made some investments in real estate, made some poor choices, and paid the price in 2006, 7, 8, and 9 when a lot of other folks paid the price. That's when I first started to realize I didn't know not only about sales and marketing or anything in business, I didn't know the rules of money. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was just throwing it around because I thought, well, putting money in real estate's a good idea. I should just put money in real estate. But well, what kind of real estate? What was the market? What was the conditions? Didn't know any of that. Didn't do any of that research. And so good news is I was able to learn sales. I found a mentor, taught me some things about sales. I studied like a maniac, started working like crazy. And within 12 months from finding that mentor, I went from $0 to $5.5 million in sales in the worst real estate market in the United States since the Great Depression. And I say that just so that you know the perspective that I'm bringing to this is that that's where I learned. I learned after getting my face kicked in, and that was 2010. So we're talking 13 years ago. I've built many businesses since then. I now am a business partner with my wife in a company called HR Kickstart. So we are a human resources company. We've been business partners for a couple years now. And in just 2 short years of being in business, we're going to cross well over $300,000 in sales this year, which we're very proud of as a startup company. So I share that because there's a lot of people that talk about money and talk about wealth, and I'm by no means the guy, but I've done some things that if I had come into my life 20 years ago, I would have paid attention. And so there are plenty of people who have outachieved me, and I have mentors still that I want to hit goals. So I'm still learning, but I've managed to figure some things out about business and wealth. We've invested several $100,000 in good real estate. So we've owned multiple rental properties, have many different types of investments ranging from cryptocurrency to real estate to other income producing things. We've invested in some other businesses. I can get into that later. So I've learned a lot about a lot of different things, and I love sharing it. What does this have to do with me being an artist? Well, because I had created some financial stability with my businesses, I was able, when I was 40 years old, to make the decision that I wanted to see if I had what it took to be a professional actor. So I kind of gradually wound the business down a little bit so that I had some time. I had the flexibility and time to do that, and started auditioning like a maniac, started taking classes like a maniac, which costs money. And I was able to do that. And I never would have been able to get any professional traction as a performer without the money that I had created and the wealth I had created up until that point. I would have had no chance. I had no training. Yeah, I have a music degree, but I had no acting training, no theater skills. And so since then, I've been able to kind of pick and choose my theater projects, not based on what it pays. Like I want to get a fair wage, of course. Like I don't want to work for peanuts. I believe that artists should be paid well. But at the same time, I never had to take a job because I needed the money. And that is a position of power. Let me tell you, when you walk into an audition room, and you can want the job for a lot of different reasons, but when I didn't have that, carrying that around, it just changes the game. And so I want that for you. If you're in a position at all where you are taking on projects, whether you're an entrepreneur or an artist, if you're taking on projects because you feel like if you don't, it's going to put you in a real bad financial position, that weakens your ability to negotiate a good deal. It weakens your ability to stand up for yourself when you're not being treated well. And it totally weakens your ability to walk away if you have to. And I want you to have all those things. And so that's why I love talking about money with artists. And one of the things I noticed as I started to learn about money is that not a lot of people like to talk about it. So it's one of those things. And if you're watching on IG or Facebook and you want to drop a comment, give me like a thumbs up if you were told you shouldn't talk about money. You shouldn't ask people how much money they make. You shouldn't ask somebody how much their car costs or how much their rent is. Now in New York City, everybody talks about how much the rent is. I don't know. It's just something different in New York. Like, it's like, oh yeah, it's $900 for the room and it's a great deal. Right. But like everywhere else, aside from New York City, nobody's like, how much you pay for your house? Like if somebody was like, how much did you pay for your house? Like that'd be freaking weird in a lot of places, wouldn't it? Like you'd be like, what, dude? Like I just met you. And so I got curious about why is that? Why do we do that? And it's because of what we were taught and there's a lot of stigma around money, and we never want to offend somebody. We never want to make somebody feel bad. So it can be seen as rude. And I don't want it to be rude. I don't want it to be weird. Nor would I come up to you on the street and just start talking to you about your salary. I mean, I'm not saying be weird about it, but I'm saying if we as artists can't have these conversations, how are we ever going to learn? And so that's why I'm here with Shanna tonight. And hopefully just that brief story about my background gives you some perspective. Like I've been broke. I've been broke multiple times. I've been completely bankrupt, belly up. Not the kind of bankruptcy that you could just walk away from either. Like the courts were like, you have to repay this over the next 5 years. So I had to go down to the bank every month on the first, get a cashier's check for $1,700 and send it to the bankruptcy judge. Like talk about a humbling experience for 5 years. And the reason I had to do that was because the judge looked at me and said, you can earn your way out of this. I'm not letting you off the hook. It was a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which means you have to repay. They put you on a plan. And I had too much earning potential and too much ability to earn. And I had a history of earning. And so they couldn't just say bye-bye, and I didn't ask for that, but that was just, the judge was like, no, this is the plan. And if you don't hit it, the creditors have a right to come after you. I hit the plan. We never missed a payment. But man, talk about, I will never forget, just counting down the days to the first of having to go down to the bank and get that cashier's check. Because there were some months, 2 days before it was due, I didn't have the money in the checking account. And I had to figure it out. We didn't have credit cards. We didn't have access to it. I couldn't like borrow 100 grand from my dad. Like there wasn't like that option. So I say that with this idea of around money, I have a tremendous amount of respect and compassion and empathy for anyone who is struggling financially. So it may seem that I have a lot of conviction and passion about this, and I do, but I also don't want that to be confused with the fact that the fact that I might not have empathy. So I have complete empathy. I know what that feels like. It sucks. It sucks when you're like, how am I going to do this? Can I screen share on StreamYard? I've never done this before. Is there a way to do this without screwing everything up, Shanna? If not, no big deal.
Let me do a little research on that and I'll get back to you.
If so, what I'm going to show you, if I'm able to, is I actually saved this piece of paper from back when I was really struggling financially before the bankruptcy, of how I used to keep track of the bills I had to pay. And when I tell you it was chaos and like red pen and crossouts, and I have the, if I can pull it up, I'll do it. If not, I'll do it on Zoom later. And it was just complete chaos. And like, I remember looking at that sheet of paper going, I have, $18,000 that have to go out and I'm making 4,000. How is this? And it was all like debt payments and dumbass decisions I made. And some of you, I
think so. On the bottom, you'll see a little button that says present.
Yep.
Do you have that on yours?
I do.
And it should say share screen.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to do this and see if I can do it without screwing it up. Share screen. All right. It's going to require me to do a whole bunch of settings. So I'm just going to do it on Zoom later because I know Zoom, I have permissions on Zoom. I don't want to slow down the momentum here and take 20 minutes to figure out my Chrome settings, but I'll show it to you and I'll even screenshot it and we can probably put it in one of the posts. Cause I laugh at it now because it was like, how am I going to make this? How's this going to work? And it didn't work. So I get it. Okay. So before we switch over to Zoom, I promised that I would share a couple of ways to earn some extra money, $1,000 in the next 90 days. So I'm going to do that. And the reason I'm going to do that is because you go on a lot of these webinars and things. And Gary Vaynerchuk, who I follow on social media, many of you probably follow him as well. I just think he's a brilliant guy. I think he's a really compassionate man. And one of the things he always talks about is that we need to be thinking both in the clouds and in the dirt. So the clouds would be the big picture stuff, the visions, the mindset, the ideas, the big ideas. We will be talking about a lot of those, especially as we get into some of the one-on-one Q&A. So click, email Shanna. You can see the link on screen. If you want to get in on that Q&A later, email her. $29. It is a steal because we're going to actually have a chance to talk one-on-one. It's that kind of class. So we got to think about the clouds, which is the big picture ideas, but we also need to think about the dirt. We need to keep our feet in the dirt. Dirt is the practical stuff. What do I do? Where do I put my feet? Where do I put my hands? What do I need to do? So I'm going to go there first because most webinars, they spend 45 minutes talking about the clouds and 3 minutes talking about the dirt. And then I'm like, give me the dirt, man. Like get to the dirt. So here's the dirt. Okay. All of these things I have done and continue to do. Even after generating $300K in revenue with our primary business, I've generated another $50K in side hustle business this year, doing some of these things, all of these things. One of them is happening right now. Okay. Now, what I'm doing right now is a passion project for me, but I also receive money for it. But this is not my primary business. At one time, doing webinars and doing coaching was my primary business. But when I shifted to this partnership with my wife, one of the things I realized is that I still have all of this knowledge and skills that are able to be monetized. And so I do that. So my first how to make $1,000 in the next 90 days is if you're a performer of any kind, an artist of any kind, do you realize how valuable those skills are in the business world? It's a rhetorical question because I hope that you do. Now, I can hear some of you going, yeah, but what are they? And how do I price it? And how do I package it? Don't get ahead of yourself. I want you to think about what you do, what it takes to actually be a singer professionally, an actor professionally, an artist professionally. Think about all those moving parts. Let's take acting, studying a script. Okay. What do you do when you study a script? You're analyzing text. You are interpreting text, memorizing text, thinking about how to deliver that text in a compelling way that fits the character. What do you think a business owner needs to do to get their message across, to sell their product or service? Tell a good story. Interpret the story that is their business and communicate it to the public. Here's the secret. Most of them suck at it. And they're still great businesses, but they suck at that part and they want to get better at it. In comes the professional actor. I've done this. I've helped others do this. You go to a business owner. Don't get ahead of yourself. Where do I find the business owner? How do I reach out to? Just shh. Let that quiet for a second. Just listen to the idea. This is the dirt and the clouds at the same time. Listen to the idea, and then the how will come if you ask the right questions. You go to a business owner. Could be a DM. Could be someone you already know that's in business. Okay. Shanna, by the way, is a business owner. What do you think I've helped her with over the last few months? Okay. Now, I got some of those skills from being in business, but a lot of what I help her with, my communication skills, comes from being a professional performer and being really good at analyzing a message and a story and being able to hit the mark in a hurry. And I know business, so I can charge even more because I know the business side. But let's say you go to a business owner and you're like, hey, I notice you sell, let's make something up. You sell toys. You have a toy store, a boutique toy store on the Upper West Side. Okay, they still do exist. Let's not use toys. Let's use bikes. Let's use bikes because there's a lot of bike shops. Okay, so you have a bike shop on the Upper West Side. You go in there all the time. They're an awesome bike shop. You love it there. You believe in the business. You think they're an awesome owner, and you're just like, hey, I was on your Instagram, and I noticed you don't do a lot of like social media stuff. Have you ever thought about like doing videos like that talk about what you do here? Because I think what you do here is awesome. And listen, I'm a performer. I don't know like all the ins and outs of your business, but what I do know is how to tell a really awesome story. And I would love to tell the story about your business and help you tell that story yourself. Would you be open to a conversation about maybe working together in some way? Now, well, they'll say no, or I'm afraid to have that conversation. I get all that stuff. I get it. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is very doable. Imagine if you had that conversation in the next 90 days, 40 times. And what if you said, hey, I'm not even going to get into pricing right now, but my challenge was $1,000 over 3 months. That's $333 a month. That is 77, 80, I'm doing the math in my head, $85 a week. And what if you worked on it 4 hours a week and you said, would you pay me $20 an hour? You should charge way more than that. But what if it was $20 an hour, 4 hours a week? Business, that's an easy yes for if you had that conversation 40 times because it's way too cheap. But if you did that and you couldn't make $1,000, I'd be shocked. Okay. So that's tip one. Sell your expertise that you have, figure out. Now, maybe you're not great at interpreting text. Maybe you're a singer. What kind of discipline does it take to be a singer? What do you need to do a warm-up, to structure a warm-up? Do you know how to rehearse? Do you know how to practice? Have you ever made a self-tape? What do you think business owners need to do when they're marketing their business? Self-tapes. Now, they're not sending them in to an audition, but the business owner maybe wants to get on video, but thinks they're not very good at it. Maybe you can help them with that. Maybe you can help them with their speaking voice because you know a lot about the technical aspects of the voice. Maybe you're trained as a voice teacher and you find a business owner that really wants to, maybe they're having trouble because they're losing their voice presenting. I actually went to a voice coach a few years ago, even though I am a singer, because I was losing my voice doing things like this. And so I had to go to somebody who understood that. But what if you're that person and you're just not monetizing it? You could. Well, I don't have the time. I get it. We'll talk about that later. That's tip number one. Tip number two. This one is drastically overlooked, and I know there's going to be some blowback on this in your head. You're going to have a reaction to it. Sell some of your stuff, truly. If you go on eBay right now and you search the sold listings, sold, not active, just sold, for some stuff that you're not using, that you don't need, even clothes that you might think are out of style. You've worn them for 2 years. Why would anybody buy them? They will. Now, they won't buy everything, but I sold a pair of jeans that I owned for 4 years. They were not high-end jeans at all. And I sold them for $32 and I gave them free shipping. It cost me $4 and something to ship. The eBay fees were about $5. So 32 minus 5, 32 minus 9 would be what? $23? That was $23 that I didn't have before. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why would you waste time doing that when you said you have a business that does 300 grand? I do. And I still want the $23. Because I'm looking at my closet. I'm always like, who else needs this? There's somebody out there that is a smoking deal. They desperately want to pay for it. And you just need to provide it. Now, some of you may have already done this and maybe you don't understand eBay, or maybe you don't think that you have anything of value, but I would just challenge you. Remember, the challenge was not a huge amount of money for 3 months, $333 a month. So maybe it's a combination of all of these things to get you there. The reason I chose 1,000 is because I feel like that's a number that we can wrap our heads around and that is very realistic and doable for 3 months. I could have said 10,000 and you could do this at scale and make 100,000. You really could. But like 1,000, it's like, okay, some combination of these 3 things. Let's see. Another thing I sold was a shirt just like this. It was a Banana Republic shirt. Not a super expensive shirt. I think I bought it new for like $65. Still in good condition. Now, you don't want to sell stuff that's really beat up, but if it's still in good condition, there's a market for it on eBay. So what I would advise is just go to eBay, look at the solds. I always advise using free shipping. So figure out what would you take away. eBay will help you calculate the shipping costs. You just need to, maybe you can if you order stuff on Amazon, save the boxes. Okay, if those little plastic bags they send you, save those. Go to the UPS store for $4 and get some packing tape. Now, make that one-time investment, reuse your Amazon shipping materials. It'll calculate the shipping. Do that a half dozen times. Starts to add up. What could you do with an extra $200 right now? What would you do with it? You don't have to answer, but just think, here's $200. I'm sure you'll be like, oh man, I need to pay this thing, or I'm behind on this. Or, wow, there's that casting director class I want to go to. $200. Okay. Sell your stuff. Sell stuff that you start with the stuff you're not using. And then if you're really serious about this, start to look at the stuff that has value that you'd prefer not to part with, but you're willing to part with if it brings in money because you're going to use that money in a way to better yourself. So that's a decision you have to make. I'm not here to tell you to sell your favorite things because we have to live life. Okay. But think about that. And once you start doing that, you see money everywhere. You literally see money everywhere. It's insane. All right. We're going to go a couple more minutes here and then we're going to shift over to Zoom. If you're getting value out of this at all, let us know in the comments. I see some comments coming in, some thumbs up. Thank you for being here. I can't see all of the people that are on, but I know we've got a few people watching on IG. I have so much stuff I could sell. Yeah, me too. I'm looking just around my basement here and I'm going, holy cow. How come I haven't listed that yet? Now this is fun for me to do. I enjoy doing it because I like the game of it. I've learned to love the game of this, which is why I get excited about the $23. And I can use the $23. I always think about this too. Instead of just thinking oh, it's only $8. Don't think about the number because the number is meaningless. It's like, what does that represent? What could I do with the $8? The $23? $68. What does that mean to me? Well, I look at things like my internet is $89.99. So if I made $89, well, there goes my internet bill for the month, right? That's how I think about it because these numbers were all made up. We're going to talk about the origins of money and stuff later because I think it's an important conversation to have as we retrain our thinking and we get in the clouds. But right now, put an actual value on it. What does it mean? $8, $12, $100. What's $1,000? What does that mean for you? Is that your rent? Is that part of your rent? Is it your, is it some of your insurance? Is it your cell phone bill plus your internet plus your food? Like I know what my monthly spends are. So when I hear a dollar amount, I can think of the line item off the top of my head of what that is. It's because like I've gone through and I know what I spend on stuff on average. All right. Third tip. So we talked about sell your stuff, the stuff you don't use, don't want, price it on eBay, see what it's going for. Look at the sold listings, not the active listings. What if things actually traded for? Second thing, services. What services could you sell? I reversed the order. Okay. What skills and services could you offer to somebody that has a need for it? Business. Business owners are willing to spend money on things that help their business. It's a fact. Okay. All right. Third idea is, now this is, actually, I kind of gave you, oh no, well, the third idea is similar to the first idea of sell your stuff, but this is flip your stuff or flip some stuff. It's not your stuff. This would be going to a place where something is selling for $2 and take it to eBay where it's selling for $35. Now, this is not an original strategy. People have been doing this for years at garage sales. In the city, they don't really do garage sales, but there are thrift stores. There are Goodwill, Salvation Armies, and people get upset with me when I talk about this because they say you're taking it away from somebody that needs it. And I see it as I'm giving money to the place. If you look at what those places actually do, the money that they get, they use to support their causes. So if there's a cause of a thrift store that you really love, whether it's Housing Works, that's for you to decide. You get to decide. You get to put your money where you feel best putting it. But on the other side of that transaction, think about the other side of the transaction when you purchase a video game at Goodwill that's selling for $5 and you take it to eBay and sell it for $25. The person that's buying it for $25 is getting a good deal and they couldn't find it for $25 anywhere else. And maybe they want that game and it's cost $60 at Target. And you sell it to them for $25. You've now helped that person save $35 and they can get a video game for their kids that maybe they thought they couldn't afford before. So I always think about the other side. Sure, this is all about how you view it. You could say, I'm taking from somebody that needs that video game at Goodwill, maybe. But like at some point we have to also think about what our needs are. And I'm showing you that this is a way that you can use technology to provide a market for someone who's looking for something, and you put in the time and you go find it. So what I do is if I'm going to do this, I go to the store, I have eBay open and I just start looking at stuff. So you're going to have to educate yourself a little bit. My favorite products are books, video games, and like small tchotchkes, knickknacks. Knickknacks, for some reason, the ones that you think are junk, if you go on eBay, there's like a whole like economy. Now, I wouldn't advise selling fragile things. Okay, so don't like coffee mugs. Don't get lured in by coffee mugs. They're going to look great on eBay, but they cost a fortune to ship because you don't want to send somebody a broken coffee mug. All right, so sell your stuff, flip stuff, figure out what skills or services you have. Those are the three ways. I promise you, if you combine those, if you have questions about how to implement that, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer as many as I can. I will be looking at social media, the comments after this to go back and respond to as many as I can. Thanks, Marcia. And yeah, like if the thing with thrifting, like if you go to a thrift store anyway to buy stuff, because I know a lot of people love going to thrift stores to buy things for themselves because you find some really awesome stuff at really good prices. So you're doing the same thing for someone else. You're just providing a different version of it because you're selling it online. All right, Shannon, I think we're ready to move this thing to Zoom. So when you switch over to Zoom, we're going to be digging a little deeper into not only these tactics, but also we're going to have a conversation. So this is not going to be a one-way thing with me just firing at you for an hour. We're going to have a chance for you to ask questions, for you to talk about what you're thinking about. I can give you some perspectives on things like investing, and we'll go a little deeper. I wanted to come right out with the practical stuff.
Yes, and as we close, I do want to say, I want to back Sean up specifically on the you have services Because I will tell you, people that I have hired within my studio are actors that were in my studio.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you have a
Because
relationship and they're
they
valuable.
know my program, and I know, like, I'll be making an announcement for her tomorrow. But I have an actor right now that's my new assistant that I'll be announcing soon. She has corporate experience and she's an actor. That is a perfect assistant. So, so like all I'm saying is, like, I am one of those business owners that if you can make my life easier, and I'll say this right now, if you can design graphics and you're willing to do that for a reasonable price, please email me, because I'm terrible at it and would happily outsource that to someone. So all that to say,
Always, yeah.
business owners, I promise you, if you can make our lives easier, you got a shot to pitch it to us. So,
Always.
okay. Email me, Shanna at ShannaRayVocalStudio.com. If you want the link to join us, we're going to switch over to the Zoom now. And thank you, Sean. And thank you guys so much. We'll see those of you who are down here in our studio. You guys just have the link in your email. We'll see you there. Everybody else, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Instagram. Thanks for being here. Stefani, Summer. Who else do we have? Perry.